Paragraph 14, 2 II. You can bring in the position even after the commencement of the trial. But you cannot bring in the position, and I want you to underline this so that you don't confuse what I'm saying, to begin to prove on facts that you did not aver in your petition. Get the point? The petition is unamendable, and I agree with it. Once you have deposed, once you have averred to all the facts in your petition, what the law is saying is that if evidence is gotten even after the trial, witness statement on oath is evidence, you are allowed to bring it in if they are subpoena witnesses. Not that you come and under the subpoena witnesses to begin to bring about evidence which you did not depose to or which you did not aver in your petition. If the facts are not there, you cannot bring a subpoena witness or any deposition on oath to come to say you want to prove it. So it's very important you make that clarification, because I saw some citations, some cases which the court was trying to cite and which they did not distinguish. In such cases, in some of them, the petitioners did not place the facts and averment in their petition, and they now came the way of purported subpoena witness to begin to amend the petition. That's what it means. But when you have averred to those facts, you are not trying to amend the petition, you're trying to substantiate it. These are two different things. Good. So my position is that if you did not make the averment, if you did not plead them, in your petition, you don't have the right to bring subpoena witnesses after 21 days. But once you have pleaded them, once you have averred those facts completely in your petition, you should be allowed in the process of trial to bring your evidence to prove them. Otherwise, it will not be provable. Because what INEC just needs to do, or any witness that's a rival witness to you, which you need his evidence to succeed, is to hide himself for 21 days. And that's the end of your case. That couldn't have been the intention of the legislature. So the totality of the judgment is not a judgment that delivered justice. It was not decided based on law or logic or clear thought. If the judgment of the PEPC is sustained, Electoral Act 2022 is dead.
Thank you very much, sir. Well said. Actually, in a few days, lots of people are still very doubtful about the way the judiciary is being handled. What would you say about this going forward, sir?
You know, they used to say judiciary is the hope of the common man. I don't blame the people that made that philosophy, because if you are from a country governed by military for a long time, where some people are above the law, because the military clique and their cabal is above the law, that's where they brought that philosophy that the judiciary is the hope and the last hope of the common man. But the truth is that in a democracy where rule of law is one of the pillars of democracy, the judiciary is the hope of everybody, common and uncommon. You have seen great people removed in power illegally. Do you see common people, in quote, contesting for governorship? But you have seen people go to court to reclaim their mandate. So judiciary is the hope of everybody in a democracy. And more importantly, judiciary is the last hope for the sustenance of democracy itself. If elites do not write justice on black and white, ignorant men will write it on ground with blood. If the judiciary do not write justice on black and white, ignorant men will write justice on the ground with blood. It's not my quote. So we should be very careful. Very, very careful. So when people are going to judiciary, it is to make sure that the peaceful transfer of power, as ensured by democracy, which is government of the people, by the people, for the people, is ensured. They should be careful the way they deliver judgment. It is not the duty of the judiciary to make the law. The legislature can overrule decided case by simply amending the law. The judiciary cannot overrule a legislation. They can only review it to know whether it contradicts another legislation. Meaning, the only reason the court can interfere with a piece of law is to know whether the legislature has done a law that contradicts its own law. So the court has no business, except where there is a lacuna, no law. Then they can now come in under the overarching principle of wherever there is law, there must be remedy, to put a remedy. Using your discretion to give technical judgments is illegal in itself, and the Supreme Court in itself has said the court has no jurisdiction to use its discretion to overrule the express provisions of a statute. So, as we are going into 63 years, I am pleading with the judiciary. They should be careful, because when we do not have strong institutions, we could still have strong individuals that want to manipulate the institutions for their own selfish ends. And the only protection that the system will have is the judiciary. So as we're getting to 63 is getting to grandfather. Nigeria is getting to grandfather level. We should be able to have children, grandchildren, that reflect what we want our nation to be. We are taking too long to mature. At 63, we are still drinking milk. We have not grown in anything. We discovered oil 58, even before independence. And we are importing 100% of our refined crude. Not even a baby country that has oil can afford to be doing that. Our naira is going to 1,000. Going to 1,000 to $1, and 1,000 plus to the pounds. And when we got independence, our naira was stronger than the pound. So we are actually degenerating, and not in our stars, but in ourselves. We are the most blessed country in the whole world. We have our gold, we have our lithium, we have our iron, we have our tin, we have our coal growing like carrots. Foreign countries are coming to mine it under our nose. We have our oil flowing like a river. We have our cattle to give us milk. A land flowing with oil and milk. 850 kilometers of coastal line. We can survive on blue economy alone. We can survive on solid mineral alone. We can survive on oil alone. Can imagine if we are refining our diesel, kerosene, jet fuel, condensates, all the things, and we are exporting them. With exporting our crude, we can survive on them alone. And yet you have the combination of all these things. And should we not say that we have cursed leaders, that we have all these things, and we are wallowing in poverty? And out of 200 million persons, 133.3 are suffering from multidimensional poverty. We are depraved and deprived. We can't go through our streets without being afraid that we will be kidnapped, terrorized, or robbed. We cannot embark on nightlife. In the southeast, you have the unknown gunmen killing at will. In the south, you have the oil thieves. In the southwest, you have the cultists and ritualists. In the north central, you have the killer headsmen and terrorists. In the northwest, you have the bandits, terrorists and kidnappers. In the northeast, you have the insurgents, IDPs. And we have what it takes to put an end to this. And as we're moving to 63, if the judiciary can live up to its expectation today, we will not have all these cases we are having in courts. You know, the Chief Justice of Nigeria said Nigeria is the most litigious nation on earth. You know why? Because the judiciary is not living up to its bidding.